I'm here in our Dusty Miller planting. I'm going to talk today about 3 different Dusty Miller varieties that we carry. I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences between each of those varieties and why you might choose one over the other. And first, for some context for this planting, Dusty Miller is a really interesting, unique crop. It has this beautiful silvery, dusty leaf color, interesting leaf shape. It's a great foliage option, especially for design work. There's a lot of possibilities there. It is, however, a little bit of a slower growing crop, and it takes a little bit longer than a lot of the flowering crops to mature in the field to a harvestable stage. So this is, again, is something that could provide some really nice options for design work. It's maybe not the most productive or fast variety if you're looking for something to continuously harvest for market bunches or something like that. But again, it has this unique leaf shape and color and a lot of potential for design. And I'm going to start with talking about this variety right here. This is New Look. Of the 3 varieties that we carry, this one has the smoothest leaf shape and the least lobing. So there's kind of the largest or the most surface area on the leaves for this variety. You can see right next to it is Silverdust. And so Silverdust has a much more heavily serrated or deeply incised leaf shape. It resembles a snowflake. It has a much more feathery, light look to it. And it can be a little bit shorter than New Look, but still towards the end of the season, this is late August right now, will size up and produce stems that are long enough for cuts. Again, highly uniform and a really deeply serrated, feathery look to the leaves. So the third variety that I want to talk about is Candicans. So that's this variety right in front of me, and it is sitting next to Silverdust. And hopefully you can see from these images that the leaf shape and the coloring of Candicans is really similar to Silverdust in that it has these finely serrated leaves, definitely more of a snowflake or feathery look to it, but it is taller and more vigorous and a little quicker to size up in our trials. So if you're looking for a variety for cut flowers or for cut use, Candicans is a really good option just because of the height and the vigor of this variety compared to the other 2. One thing to consider about Candicans is that even though it's taller and a little bit more vigorous, it is a little bit more variable in terms of the leaf shape and the patterning and even the plant habit to some degree. So you will see a little bit more variability in this variety than you would with either New Look or Silverdust. But again, we think that the vigor and the productivity of this variety kind of balances out those things. So it really depends on what your preference is, what your use is, and what you're using it for. And I just wanted to say a quick note about harvest stage for Dusty Miller. This is a longer season crop for us. We typically don't start harvesting off of these until the middle to late August in a field planting. And we're waiting until the stems start to stiffen and thicken up and become a little bit woody. So we find that if we're able to harvest when the stems are a little bit woody, they rehydrate better and have a longer vase life. If we harvest before the stems have toughened up a little bit or when they're still quite fleshy, they do not tend to last as long in the vase, and they will be more likely to wilt. So I can show an example of that. So this is a stem that has stiffened up, and I don't know if you can see or not, but this is a very stiff, sturdy stem, and there's an obvious sort of woody layer at this around the edge of this stem. So this is a good stage to harvest and gives you also an idea of what sort of stem length you might expect off of Candicans. I'd also like to point out a couple other differences between these varieties. So both New Look and Silverdust are a little bit shorter. They are typically at this time of year for us between 16 to 18 inches tall, whereas Candicans is a little taller, around 24 inches tall. And part of the reason for that is that both New Look and Silverdust were developed as more bedding and landscape plants, so they have a little bit more of a compact habit, highly uniform. So if you're looking for uniformity, both of these varieties are very uniform, but they tend to stay a little bit shorter and more compact, even though they do stretch to tall enough for cuts for us, later in the summer. Whereas Candicans is a strain that has not been selected for bedding or landscape use, so it tends to be just a little bit taller and a little bit more variable than New Look or Silverdust. So again, this is our Dusty Miller lineup. We have New Look and Silverdust, a little bit more compact, highly uniform, and very unique leaf shapes. And then we have Candicans, which is a little bit taller, a little bit more vigorous, and a good option for cut flower use.